I've always felt it's important to, as a furry, go and see the species that your fursona is based off of. It's why I found myself travelling to Vienna, Austria, so Regda could meet a hoopoe, and then somehow again to Warsaw, Poland, so he could meet another hoopoe. Not sure how he managed to get 2 trips, but I will say the second time was much better. As a raccoon in the UK, it's actually surprisingly hard to find them, and especially to interact with them. They're certainly not in the wild here. Zoos and parks do have them, but they're starting to reduce them. Sadly, this is due to the raccoons being regarded as a threat, and of course, also raccoons are nocturnal, so if you do find a zoo with them, very often the raccoons are fast asleep. Theadore Rabbit, however, very kindly surprised me back in January with a voucher to go and feed some raccoons at a wildlife park as a birthday gift. And, hey, while it's been 10 months now since we got that, we finally had the chance to go and feed the raccoons this weekend. So, here's the story of our adventure and visit to Wingham Wildlife Park. So, the day started super early. Well, okay, not that early, but still 6:30 AM, and on a Saturday, that does feel much more early than it normally does during the week. However, it's a 2-hour drive to get to the zoo, and we needed to be there for 10, so, we didn't really have many options. A quick look outside revealed that the weather was going to be not very pleasant. Still, as I saw it, the wildlife park was 100 miles away. Maybe the weather would be better there. No, maybe not. Still, we set off on the drive hoping that maybe, just maybe, it would change and clear up on the way there. As we drove on, it showed little signs of clearing up. The gloomy backdrop as we headed down the motorways to the outskirts of Canterbury, which is continuous, lots of cloud, lots of rain. But hey, that doesn't matter. We were going to go and see raccoons. Yay! Arriving at the park, it still looked really bleak outside, and the very empty car park with few cars told us that it was probably not going to be a very busy day. It was pretty bleak. Heading on in, I checked in with the staff, was told where to go, and we went off to enjoy the rest of the park, making sure to get to the raccoon enclosure for the feeding by 11. And I must say, I was impressed by Wingham Wildlife Park's offerings. They had a really nice selection of animals, and the enclosures were just fantastic, more than adequate for them, and you could tell they really cared. Speaking to the staff, we learned that most of the animals were rescued ones, or rehomes from former private owners. So they really did care about these animals. And the grounds of the park were really nice too. There was lots of space to sit down, lots of trees, there was space to eat your own food, and really well kept paths. You do get pestered by chickens and peacocks though, especially when you sit down and eat. Of course, Richter loved this, as you'd expect, and I think that might be part of the reason why we attracted more of them. There was also a really high amount of trash cans. Seriously, I've never seen this many trash cans in one place. Look at them, there's loads. It's like they made this park for raccoons. You could never get bored. As you may have noticed now, though, from most of the footage so far, the park really wasn't busy. I think put off by the bad weather, most people just chose to stay at home. I mean, you had a small smattering of people, and later on there was a coach trip there, but it remained really quiet, and this made for a really nice and peaceful and tranquil experience. So, maybe the rain actually improved our day out. While we arrived at the raccoons enclosure a little early, I thought it was best to go there and see what it was like, and see if any adorable raccoons were out and about. They weren't. Given that raccoons are often nocturnal, I was a little concerned at this point that I wasn't actually going to see any, and we were just going to be leaving food around, and this video would probably just be me complaining about not getting to see any raccoons. Still, we went away, and with time to spare before the feeding, we checked out the penguin enclosure, which was opposite. And I must say, the penguin enclosure was, wow, it had hardly any barriers. Seriously, I could have just stroked the penguins if I hadn't been afraid of being pecked by them, but it really did allow you to get up close and personal with them, which was really cool. And we watched them for a little while, and eventually it rolled around to 11 o'clock and time to go back for the raccoon feeding. Back at the enclosure, things had changed a little. There was certainly more activity going on. The coatis were running wild, which is normal for coatis. And finally, signs of raccoons, with one poking her little head out of the sleeping box. It was so adorable, seriously. You could easily tell that the animals knew that it was feeding time. I mean, look at her. Look, she's so cute. Aww. After meeting up with the keeper and going through the usual health and safety information, you know, don't touch the electric fence, watch out for the claws, it was time to go inside and feed the raccoons. And the coatis. But let's face it, I wasn't really that interested in coatis. I mean, they're fine, but they're not raccoons, are they? To feed the coatis, we had to stick some fruit onto sticks. This is mostly because they have really sharp teeth. Seriously, they were really sharp. And when I looked at them, whoa, I could understand the warnings. And the same with the claws. They were really sharp too. I could feel them through my jeans, especially when they started trying to climb up me. Yeah, I mean, they were really greedy, except one. There was an albino one there. He was really cute and very laid back, tame even. Obviously, she was very passive, which meant she didn't get as much food, which was kind of sad, but, you know, obviously they do feed her. Finally, with the coyotes fed and the food hidden around in their sleeping box, which lasted all of 5 seconds after we put it in, it was time to go and feed the raccoons. The raccoons were, as you'd expect, rather keen to be fed when we went over to their feeding box. Much more patient than the coatis, I'll say. And when we opened the back of their sleeping box, we were met with 2 pairs of beady little eyes and some very grabby little paws. They were so adorable, though. Seriously, they were very fluffy, because I guess winter is coming. And yeah, one was like a really interesting reddish-brown colour, which I don't think I've seen that shade on a raccoon before. Normally you just kind of see like a grey or a darkish sort of brown colour. Again, super adorable. Have I told you how adorable the raccoons are? Yeah, really adorable. The next bit, though, really surprised me, especially as I was warned not to stroke the raccoons by the keeper. I was asked to put my hands out flat, and then the keeper put some mealworms on my hand for the raccoons to eat straight off of it. Won't lie, I was a little scared at this point, because I was worried that the raccoons were going to just bite me, because they've got very sharp teeth. But the raccoons proceeded to lick, grab, and get whatever they could out of my hands as fast as possible. It was so adorable, and such an amazing experience to be able to get this close to them. And they did not hang around eating. They ate everything in seconds. I would have fed them pizza if it had been available too, because raccoons like pizza, but these wanted mealworms. Following this, we attempted to hide a bowl in their enclosure, which was a futile attempt. You can't hide things from raccoons, especially when the bowl was shiny. The raccoons just grabbed it out of my hand straight away. It was brilliant, and quite forceful too, so I have a new appreciation for how much strength a raccoon has. Still, so adorable. After this, we left the enclosure, I washed my hands, and it was over. But, you know, this is an experience that I really won't forget. I'm pretty sure that while I don't sadly have a picture of me face with the raccoons, it's going to be something that just remains in my memory forever. It's just so cute, so adorable. After this, though, we decided to head on and see the rest of this rather charming park. Strange was this animatronic dinosaur section that they had. It seemed like quite a recent addition, and it really stood out from the rest of the park. Not quite what I expected in the wildlife park. Wasn't very alive, as you'd expect. The animatronics were quite good, but it just seemed like such a strange diversion that they're just stuck in there. That said, we still had a great laugh looking around this bit. The sound effects some of the dinosaurs had were just weird. One sounded like a dolphin, seriously. It was like Flipper. And we also got to see his random leg. I don't know what that was about. Of course, we also did get to see Rigda reenacting his hatching. The Southeast Asian animal section was next, and while sadly some of the animals here were not out today, there was a pair of very cute moon bears on show. Yay bears! Also, there was a miniature horse. Not very Southeast Asian, but fine, whatever floats your boat. This area still felt very new, and they were definitely doing some more building work to add new features, and it looked like they were building a new bird section here, which is great. I love seeing these places expand, and I expect Regda will drag us back to see the bird enclosure when it opens. Moving on, we got to see some big cats, panthers, lynxes, and a couple of lions who had been rescued from a very cruel circus. Oh, they were really cute though. They're very, very tired looking. But apparently they often roar at night because there's another park somewhat nearby that they have to defend their territory, which means the residents of the local town hear lions roaring at night. That must be a very strange experience. Kind of cool though. There was also some tigers, and you could get so close to them. You're literally inches away from them, and it was brilliant. I've got a new appreciation for just how big they are, and the markings were just absolutely stunning. Also, we got to meet a really cute family of otters, some porcupines, a rather cute red panda who, whenever I went near the enclosure, went up and hid in a tree, this perturbed emo that just wanted to bite my fingers off, I think, and Theadore Rabbit found some rabbits, which of course made him very happy. There were also wolves, but sadly no wooing, and no fines were given out. Somewhat worn out, though, after wandering around this park, because it was quite big. We returned back to the enclosure for one last look at the raccoons before we decided it was time to head back. I was not disappointed in this trip back either. Now, out of their sleeping box and fed, they were roaming around, and one was even climbing the ropes around the enclosure. It was just, so adorable. I think I've used that word about 50 times now, but seriously, they were just so cute. Look at them. I could sit here and watch them all day. Heading back to the car, we stopped in at the gift shop, of course, making sure to pick up the obligatory raccoon plush for me, and a buddy one for Theo. Sitting in the car before we drove back, we all felt rather satisfied. Sure, the weather had not been the best, and we were certainly damp, but it could have been a lot worse. The park had just been fantastic, though. Wingham had proved to be a great day out, with, I think, all of us having a really fun time. Seriously, it was great to have animal enclosures where you could really just get to the animals and see them up close. And I think that makes up for the lack of raccoon merchandise in the gift shop. Getting the chance to meet my species that inspired my fursona that close and to be able to feed them is something just unforgettable that will just stay with me for the rest of my life. Seriously, I can't recommend doing this sort of thing yourself if you can for your species. It makes you just feel so much closer to your chosen animal, and it's just adorable and a lot of fun. Also, if you happen to be in the UK and in Kent, do check out Wingham Wildlife Park too. It's quite a cheap day out, and they have just a great range of animals there, and, modern facilities, and the grounds are just really lovely too, so it's just the whole package there. Still, there we go. I hope you enjoyed the story of my adventure and trip to feed raccoons. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, click the like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, or consider supporting me on Patreon. There's a link in the description below. I'd like to give a shout out to Nate Green for joining me on the Patreon at the $15 tier. Thank you very much for your support. I'm Shadow Raccoon, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone!